Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. Thanks for joining me. Today I'm really excited to bring you my review of Jinbao's Gravity Builder. This is the full box set of their oversized generation toy, Devastator. I was really excited to see him come in stock in Show Z. I made the purchase and almost 50 days worth of shipping time. And I was nervous the whole time. But he made it. No damage, just one minor tiny piece missing. So I was pretty excited about that. But he's an awesome figure. You may have seen some of my pictures on Facebook and Instagram. So I'm super excited for this. That being said, let's go ahead and get into it. First off, in the box, each character does get its own sheet of poster style instructions. The transformations aren't that complicated, and they do a fairly decent job of getting you through it. In the box, you do get 4 sets of silver painted missiles for the combined mode. Totally optional, but it's nice that they included them. You do get the blaster for Cement Truck, their version of Mixmaster. You get the pistol for Scraper, or their version of Scrapper. Here is the gun for Long Haul. Here is the blaster for Bone Crusher. The blaster for Scrapper. And lastly, the blaster for Hook. And you do get an additional screaming face for the combiner head. The set does include the blaster for combined mode, done in gray and purple plastic. No paint, which is a bummer, but it's nicely detailed. Lots of interesting panels on here. It is a shame because the other bots have so much as far as paint detail added to them. It's really impressive. This is just kind of feels like an afterthought. But anyhow, one nice thing that you can do is you can actually turn this into a cannon. Just fold the barrel down, bring this up and bring out the handles. These can be positioned any way that you want. Bring the wings out, slide them up until they lock. Bring out this portion on the bottom, and then bring in the chest piece for combined mode. The way it works is it will latch on here and also here. So now you have a working cannon. A little bit on the loose side, but there's a lot of this set that is going to need some kikis, unfortunately. You get the combined mode chest piece, which is pretty neat. It can actually double as a gun if you choose to do so. It, as you can see, does have articulation to it, which is pretty nice. And it can attach to Long Haul in his alt mode, but we won't be using this. I do have the upgrade kit number 2, so this one will be going into storage, but still a pretty decent design. In the box, you're gonna have 2 of the forearm units. They do attach to the back of Bone Crusher and Scavenger by a simple twist mechanism. It does lock rather well, so it does work good. They're on rubber wheels. In alt mode, they're meant to attach and work as a trailer. It's totally your option as to whether or not you have them on. The way they work is you just simply open them up from the bottom, bring out the hand, and then you can close it back up. You extend this for attaching it in robot or in combined mode. It gives you the functionality of the elbow and also some additional detail here with some engines. Looks pretty neat, but interesting way of doing it. It's really an interesting design. So let's start things out with the legs, shall we? This is Scraper, their version of Scrapper, and I gotta say the amount of detail that they put into this is really fantastic. He does roll. Very modern interpretation of Scrapper. You've got a lot of detail painted in with these guys. For example, the gray here on the grills, silver for the exhaust pipe, silver wheels. The wheels are all rubber, which is nice. Ladders, guardrails, even transparent windows. Orange lights painted on. Caution paint throughout on all the figures. I thought it would be stickers, but no, it's actually paint. So overall, the detail is phenomenal. These should be down, but very nice looking. There's a view from the top, view from the bottom. You do have his weapon storage here, which doubles as a secondary exhaust pipe, which is a nice touch. The bucket does have articulation to go up on some really powerful ratchets, to be honest. And the bucket itself, connections are ratcheted. So that definitely does help in combined mode, but it looks awesome. And just for those that are wondering, here he is next to the Toy World Scrapper. And that brings us to Scrapper. In my opinion, this is probably the most cartoon accurate of the set, especially with the head sculpt and just the overall look. But they have taken some liberties. Taking a look at the head sculpt. Again, the silver paint and light piped eyes. Let's see if we can get that some light back there. No, it just doesn't work with all the connections on the back, which is a bummer. But you do have silver paint coming down on the chest, on the abs, waist, legs. You've got the wonderful Tampo yellow and black and the silver and gray details painted on. Definitely a backpack on this guy, but what can you do, right? As far as articulation, arms can do full 360 on some nice ratchets. Head can swivel. You can actually get a decent amount down if you pull the neck joint up a little bit. Bicep rotation, 90 degrees worth of bend. Wrists do swivel. Waist rotation. Hip skirts on this one give you a little bit more freedom, but still limited kick up and back. You do get 90 degrees again, and that brings us to the feet. Once again, very loose. You have a little bit of trouble keeping this guy standing up because this joint is not toleranced very well, but you do get up and down. Overall, a very nice looking Scrapper. I have no complaints. And here we have Scrapper in his leg mode. And lots of detail still showing through. Again, some instability here, but mainly the peg joints right here, they tend to pop out if you give it too much force, but paint detail looks good, and it does have side to side motion. So overall, not too bad, but that's one thing you do run into is the ratchets on the bucket make it want to somewhat stick in place, giving it a little bit of instability. Not to mention these are held in with one peg on each side, so not the best. And here we have cement truck. Again, very nicely done and detailed. Silver for the rims, silver accents throughout. Even the exhaust is done in silver. Does not, the mixer doesn't rotate like the Toy World version, but that's fine. Again, transparent glass, painted underneath. You've got silver for the windshield wipers, metallic orange and silver for the bumper. More silver accents here. Again, caution, yellow and black stripe included on the bumper. More silver accents. You can't open the cement intake. Didn't have to do that, but it's nice that they did. This does open up, which we'll show in robot mode, but overall, just a fantastic figure. Nice representation of a Mixmaster. And that brings us to Mixmaster in his robot mode. So let's take a look. It is nicely done. As we saw in alt mode, painted portions throughout. They look really good, but let's take a look at that face sculpt. It looks rather nice. Now all the robot modes do have light piping. With a couple of them, it is a little bit disappointing because I do prefer painted. With him, with the back portion up, it makes the eyes look dead, unfortunately. There is some color to them, but not quite enough. Now you do have the option, if you want, you can open this up, spread it out, and bring that back portion down. And another thing too that I didn't show in alt mode is it's got a little cannon back here. No real reason why, but it's there. But if you want, you can bring this down to the back. And stow it. Or you can even, if you really want to, spin it around like so. So lots of different options there. Me, I'm gonna, if I do display him in robot mode, I'm gonna keep him up, but as far as the robot himself, there's his blaster done again in black, gray, and silver. You've got nice silver paint on that faceplate, nice solid shoulders, gray paint on the details on the chest with paint under clear plastic as well. Silver abdomen. He does have some added articulation here, but that's for combine mode, which gives him a little bit of a teapot rocking motion. Lots of silver paint on the legs, which looks really good. A couple of scuffs, but that's no big deal. And then you got the bumpers and the windshield wipers coming through. This is honestly not my favorite, but there's got some big old legs on the back. Interesting how they did this, but as far as articulation, arms can go up to there, full 360 on a soft ratchet, 90, a little bit more than 90 on the elbow, wrist rotation, fingers that all articulate out, but they're all one piece. Waist rotation. The legs will go up to there. So limitation there and there. And then out on some very hard ratchets to there. You do get 90 degrees of motion on the knee. And this is one place where I have a lot of issues in this set. Feet are on a ball joint, so they're very loose, but you do get up and down. Very slight rocker tilt both ways. But overall, very interesting looking robot mode. For sure. And for comparison, here we have him with the Toy World version of Mixmaster. And here we have Mixmaster in his leg mode. And not much to it, it's just a little bit of a minor change from robot mode. But one thing I have to say is it is very difficult to keep this section together. That is where add-on kit number 2 is going to come in and benefit. It, as you can see, toe wants to move. I mean, it's good that it has toe tilt, but one issue is there's nothing really here holding these in, so you end up collapsing the roof and making this wanting to cave in. It's disappointing, but it still does look good. And that brings us to long haul. The amount of detail that they put into him is actually truly amazing. He is missing the leg piece that we talked about in alt mode. Hopefully it shows he's able to get me a replacement part soon. But it's not that big a deal since I'll be taking him apart eventually for combined mode. But taking a quick look up close, once again you do have light piping. It doesn't do a bad job, but I would have preferred paint. Had it done entirely in silver, except for the light piping itself. Lots of mobility here, side to side, 360 up, and a little bit down even. Coming across the shoulders, nice detail throughout. All of this we've seen in truck mode, but you have the added silver on the hip skirts and the legs. A little more detail there. I'm still seeing lots of embossing of the yellow and black. It looks really good. Sorry, lots of tempo paint and silver on the arms. Articulation, you do get the full 360 out to 90 degrees. Arm rotation, bend to 90. Hands do open. You do get waist swivel, though it does tend to bind up a little bit, so you have to put that down. Not a huge deal. This is kind of bothers me a little bit, just how it just hangs out. But if you want to have the closed top look, you can do that. Otherwise, it just sits back like that. Legs. The legs on him are very, very tight because they're the legs for the combined mode as well. And you can just hear the tight ratchets, but can go up almost to 90 degrees. Back the same. And you do still have ratchets going out to the side, giving you actually more than 90 a little bit. Knees, no ratchets surprisingly, but you can get 90 degrees out of them. Then coming down to the feet, you do have a rocker since they're on a ball. Toe can go down, and then the entire foot can go up. So articulation's pretty awesome, and yeah, he looks really good in my opinion. Just I wish the tolerances were a little bit better. Once again, for comparison, here he is with Toy World. which I enjoy the sculpt for him better. Just he's more tune accurate, and I like the black head rather than all silver, which is more tune accurate in my opinion. But they're both amazing versions of Long Haul. And here we have Long Haul in his combine mode. It looks pretty cool. You do have these ladders that can come off, they're optional. And actually I forgot to bring these guys out. Just to give it a bit more width. And they're pretty tight, but add some nice painted detail there. As I said before, and you probably see me say again, lots of kibble that I wish they could have found a way to fasten down, but cleans up rather nicely, honestly. Now with the upgrade set, all of the legs flip to the back and become back kibble, and it really makes them back heavy. So after I show regular combine mode, we will be taking his legs off. And that brings us to hook. And same for the other characters. The amount of detail and added paint really makes this thing pop. You've got silver accents on the sides. You've got ladder that is mobile. Kind of a pain because it always ends up doing that, but it's alright. Silver rims again. Painted details all over the place. Got orange and gray and silver on the grill. Once again, clear windows. There is his weapon storage. You've got same decor throughout. Along the arm, you do have working hydraulics, so he is definitely able to move his arm, which does extend also, so you can have that look going if you want. The crane does also rotate on a ratcheted swivel. And you do have also the arms that can come out on both sides. So he says. There we go. So you can have that look if you want. Really nicely done version of Hook. One thing I do find interesting is what they did with the head. They turned the head to a transforming secondary control room, which is pretty neat. I'm not gonna lie. It really is an interesting way of doing things. It's a bit hollow, but does have painted windows and does what its intended purpose is. So good on Generation Toy. It's a nice design. And once again, there he is with the Toy World version of Hook. I'm going to say it again, you can't go wrong with either one of these sets. They're both truly fantastic. Here we have Hook. And I really like that head sculpt. I think it looks fantastic. Could have used some paint on the eyes, but still, it looks really good. You got orange and silver and a little bit of purple on the chest, as well as the abdomen. This is painted, but the majority of the plastic is not. He looks decent, to be honest. Now he does have these huge shoulder pads that come down, but they do rotate and tilt, so you can get them out of the way where you need to. As far as shoulders go, he can go up all the way. They can do a very tight 360. Elbows, 90 degrees, maybe a little more, but you have to essentially break the sculpt to get it. So, eesh. And again, these do rotate. They can flip out. So, you're not just stuck with them being in one place. You have, once again, ratcheted waist rotation. Hip skirts do get out of the way in the front. And you can kick up to there, back to there. Thigh rotation at the cut. Now, to bend the knee fully, you have to move this panel forward and do something with it, but he does get a full 90. And then feet, they are connected at the back, which is interesting. So no down or up, but you do get a very decent rocker. So not too bad considering. I think that he looks pretty fantastic, to be honest. And as before, here he is with Toy World hook. Definitely a little bit bigger and beefier. And here's hook in combined mode. And our first look at the face sculpt that comes stock. It looks pretty good with the silver and red. It does have rotation up and down. It looks down quite a bit, which is really good for a bot this size. It's pretty fantastic, actually. But you got all the details coming through as before. Orange, silver. These connection points, just be careful. They do tend to come off with the chest piece. But pretty amazing. One thing I do like over the Toy World is this option, so that you're not limited as where you can put them on a shelf, because I mean on Toy World that takes up half of a shelf depth, if you know what I mean. So that is a nice option. Their version of Scavenger, not my favorite one in the set. It's got its simple problems, but it really still is a very nice representation of the figure. You don't have the ability to rotate, but the arm does rotate on a ratchet. Once again, you got working hydraulics giving you the motion that you desire. The bucking can go in and out, as well as bend there. All the connections are tough. You do have the removable trailer, which I'm not going to do because this will just explode. The connections here aren't the best. You can get them, but with the trailer on, it's a little bit difficult. And yeah, you see, just messing with it now, it's coming undone. But it looks really good. You got purple for the inside of the tracks. Lots of painted detail there. Once again, clear windows, so orange paint, even some paint on the bucket and the hydraulics. Nice detail. I wish this would have had some paint on it, but it looks really good. And it does have the ability to rotate all the way around. If you want to do it. Nice painted detail here. And the back looks really nice with the painted detail. It's just, I wish it held together better, to be honest. And we do have the visible head there, but it's not a huge deal. And looks really, really good. Nice and functional, which is pretty fantastic. And there he is with the Toy World Scavenger. That brings us to Scavenger. And again, he looks pretty awesome. Taking a look at the head sculpt. Silver paint as usual. Lots of motion, up and down. Full 360. You've got the silver chest, copper and silver there as well. Silver on the hip skirts. And then we saw this silver in alt mode. Some added detail here. They've done a decent job, but he is definitely stylized. And I wish there was a better way to lock this portion of the chest. It's just, to me, is a little bit loose. But as far as articulation, arms go up to there before they impact with the head. Full 360 on a soft ratchet. A little more than 90 on the elbow, which does rotate. Hands rotate. You do have, again, a ratcheted waist. No moving hip skirts. So he's limited to there, up. There. Well, you can get a little more if you move this panel. And out that far. More than 90 on the bend, which it's nice that they put some detail there also. And then the feet are a little weird because the front and back are on spinning, what would be the tread wheels. So you do have a decent rocker. The heel is fixed unless you unhook it, then you can get a little bit up and down, but that definitely does take away from the stability. And then once again, the toes, they can rotate all the way around, giving you a nice rocker and a little bit of motion up. It's really tight. I don't want to force it, but looks like a nice stylized Scavenger, in my opinion. And there he is with the Toy World Scavenger. That brings us to Scavenger in combined mode. Essentially, the turret is turned around, which that functionality you don't get in alt mode, but the hook stores nicely on the top of the shoulder, coming down to the hands. You do have that functionality there. Fully articulated fingers. You do have quite a bit of elbow bend, giving you actually more than 90 degrees. Brings out that rocket detail they added there. And you get that functionality of the rotation. So, nicely done in my opinion. And now we have Bulldozer. This is their version of Bone Crusher. Again, not failing to amaze me, the detail that they put into this. Just looking around, painted accents throughout. Just looking amazing and surprisingly awesome. You do have the ability to raise and lower the blade with working hydraulics. As I bump the camera, sorry about that. So it can go up and down. Just, it's a little difficult to do because it does tend to untransform everything, but as you can see there, hydraulics do work, giving a little bit of range of motion. just tend to have to reconnect everything when you're done. Nice wide blade. Screaming for a Decepticon symbol right there. You do have the trailer on the back, which becomes the forearm and hand. You don't have to do that, but I mean, it's got rubber tires on it. It does roll, as you would expect. A little bit rattly with the wheels, but that's okay. You don't have to have this on if you want. Just turn the connection here on the back, and you can definitely take that portion off. But very nice, very realistic representation of Bone Crusher. It's a very good update. And once again, there he is with the Toy World version. And that brings us to Bone Crusher, our last robot mode that we're going to look at. Looks really nice. Again, disappointed with the light piping because the back of the head is covered, but it is painted nicely. Head sculpt looks pretty good. Not much motion on this guy, side to side, but he does have the full 360 if you want it. Orange on the chest, silver. Nice details throughout, honestly. Shoulder pads are kind of a pain just because they're mobile, but you do get all the way out, and you can move these as you need them. All the way out, 90 degrees at the elbow rotation, and swivel if you get them put in there right. There we go. Hand rotation. It comes out easily. That's a little disappointing. Waist rotation. Nicely ratcheted. No hip skirts. So again, you're limited to there. There on the back. And 90 degrees of bend. Not much as far as hip rotation. You do have it here on the lower leg though. And then the feet, just like Scavenger, are on these wheels that can rotate. So you have adjustment there. Rotation a little bit up and down on the front and back. But biggest disappointment with him is just the hands don't want to stay in. Especially if he's holding his gun. But anyhow, let's get that comparison done. Here we have him with the Toy World Bone Crusher. I have taken that clear piece off just because I think it has a more G1 cartoon look without it. Now I apologize because we are going to go hands-free, but I just want to show the detail in stock mode, which overall it looks really fantastic. Definitely competitive with the Toy World, just a more modern version. Looking at the head sculpt, you've got the red visor, silver paint. I don't have batteries for the head sculpt, unfortunately, but going down the side, you've got all that detail, paint coming through. You got the articulated hands. Over on Scavenger's side, once again, detail looking fantastic. It looks really good. Coming down the midsection, got long haul hanging out there. Coming down the legs, this is one thing I don't like, is just the amount of kibble that's there. But coming down to the feet, just so you can see the size difference. Here is with Toy World. Good 2.5 to 3 inches difference, but That is about to change. Now, if you're like me and you are going for cartoon accurate as far as your collection, then in my opinion, this is the best looking Devastator on the market. Toy World is fantastic, but he still has that look that is more comic than toon, in my opinion anyway, even with the secondary head. But let's take a look at the detail on this guy. Just look at that change. The original head is awesome, but this is, in my opinion, so much more cartoon accurate. You've got the new chest piece, done in purple with silver and red accents. It looks awesome. You've got the extended arms. Just that little bit, that inch and a half or so, does so much more to the look, giving him that masterpiece appearance. Needless to say, you've got the new pants. It is parts forming. I can see why that would turn a lot of people off. But for me, I really feel it's necessary to get a good looking combiner. I love the fact that companies are able to put out an all-in-one, for example, MMC, and still have a good combiner. But this just makes all the difference. No more kibble hanging off the legs. Looks fantastic. Looking at the feet, before the top of Mixmaster would just crumble under the weight of the leg, with the additions of those feet pads, not a problem anymore. Not to mention it holds everything together. The legs were notorious for falling apart. These do an amazing job, if you install them right, of reducing or completely eliminating that issue. And as far as scrapper, same thing. It adds so much stability to the leg. It's fantastic. Let's go over articulation. The head does have the ability to rotate 360, look up a little bit, and a lot down, which is nice. Shoulders, engage that extension. That allows you to go up, full 360. Elbows, get you to 90. If you turn past the mold, you get more than 90. Hands, full 360. You've got the individually articulated fingers and thumb on multiple points. You've got 1, 2, 3 joints in the finger and 1, 2 joints in the thumb. Waist, due to this new piece, can go up to there. Back to there. Knees. If you engage both joints, you get a little bit more than 90. Which is awesome. And feet. You do have leg rotation at the hip. And feet do have ankle pivot on both sides. Now, all that being said, he is still extremely back heavy because of this. So I am going to be taking the legs and possibly even the arms off. I haven't decided on the arms yet, but definitely the legs. I want to make this guy a lot less back heavy. But when standing him up, just giving the legs a little bit of a twist can definitely help him stand properly. So let's get the legs off. I believe it just involves 2 screws, so we'll unfasten the arms, get them out of the way here. And the front and back hip skirts will be coming off too. Everything, essentially just the green parting up, will stay. Aha. There we are. Here we have the bottom waist taken off. So let's go ahead and reassemble. And there we go. And for what I understand, we can simply leave this panel up like that. All right, I promise this is the final segment. And what I've done is taken the backpack off so you can see from the front a lot more cleaner with no legs sticking out. And we can rotate it to the back. So much cleaner on the back. And it definitely does help with the stability. It doesn't completely eliminate the issue, but it is so much better. All right, so what are my final thoughts on Gravity Builder? Wow. It's an amazing piece, and I don't know why I waited so long to get it, to be honest. When they released the upgrade kit number 2, it just, to me, made him look like so much more of a cartoon accurate Devastator. And he looks fantastic. He's not perfect by any means. You got the stability issues, the issues with the feet that tend to come apart. I highly do recommend getting the second upgrade kit and have at it. If you can find them, more power to you. I got mine from Shozi store. Just bear in mind you're going to wait a long time for shipping, but I can recommend it. And as you can see over there, the Toy World figures have now taken a permanent spot on my masterpiece shelf in robot mode. All right. If you've made it this far, thank you very much for watching. Please hit that subscribe button if you haven't already. Like I said, we have reached the 1,000 point, and we're just going up from here. I do appreciate it, and help me get to 2,000. Thanks for watching, and I will see you again next time.